When will the monster truck be finished? I keep hearing you guys say in the comments. Short answer is, I don't know. So in the last video, we got the engine fitted, but we could not get it running because we're still waiting on some parts. The transmission is supposed to go in here, but we haven't got any nuts and bolts. We need the bolts to fit on the flywheel, we need bolts to fit the gearbox on, and we also need bolts for the torque converter. And then we need a MSD control unit to sort of control the engine. I've got all that stuff on order, no idea when it's going to turn up, but we do still have a few little jobs that we've got to do to the truck while we're waiting. We've got to do all the plumbing, so we've got to make up a load of hoses for the water and for the fuel. We've got to mount all the interior, all the gauges, the rear steer, all that stuff. We've got to get the shifter in. I've got all these clamps here, look, that clamp onto the roll cage. The idea with these is that we can mount all our instruments, the switches, the gauges and everything onto these. And then it's not welded to the roll cage and we can always take it off, we can move it, and I'd rather do it that way than to weld everything directly onto the roll cage. So we've got to find somewhere for this to go. I'm thinking probably here or I don't know. We've got the rear steer handle that goes here. So the front steering on a monster truck, on a normal steering wheel, just like on a normal car. Rear steer, there's a little switch that goes into here, and that's the left and right for the rear wheels. So I've got a couple of these clamps on here. We're going to put a tube on there and then weld that onto there. But what we do have to be careful with is that a lot of the vision, when you're looking out the window of a monster truck, you can't see that much over the bonnet, or the hood for you Americans. So a lot of the vision actually goes through the floors here. So we don't really want to obstruct it with any gauges or anything. So we've got to try and put everything in the blind spots. Try to, anyway. Also, we've still got to modify this seat. These shoulder restraints here, they are way too wide apart for me, so we've got to do something, maybe cut the aluminium, bend it in, re-weld it. I don't know, we'll look at that a bit later. Hydraulics-wise, for the steering, we can't do anything yet. We're still waiting for the rear steer pump, and we're still waiting for the front steering pump as well that goes on here. So we've got all the hoses already on the axle and everything, but we can't really do any more until we get those pumps. And that's where the rear steer pump goes. That sits in there inside the chassis. That one's electric over hydraulic, and then the front steering pump is driven off the engine. So here we got all the gauges. Here we got the shifter. We got to mount that as well. This is a cheetah shifter, so you can quickly go from forward to reverse when you're doing those nose wheelie things, stoppies, moonwalks, whatever you want to call them. In here is what I'm worried about the most. This here is the wiring harness. Now, it's already pre-made, most of it. It should hopefully not be that bad, but I am absolutely useless when it comes to this sort of stuff, and looking at all this absolutely terrifies me. A few of you guys have said, Kev, how do I know how to build a monster truck? Well, I don't. I'm kind of winging it. I've got no idea what I'm doing. I'm just kind of making it up as we're going along. Waffle, waffle, waffle. When we went to Las Vegas, I took my camera and I took loads of pictures. So this, guys, is everything that I've got to go by. I've took pictures from all the different angles. If I don't know where something goes, I'll just go through these pictures and hopefully one of them is going to show me where it goes. Also, Tony from Swamp Thing 4x4, he's got a UK monster truck. He's been down a couple of times to give me some pointers, and he's always on the other end of the phone to offer advice and stuff like that. Also, Mikey from V2 Vids, he's got a monster truck over in America, and he's given me some pointers too. Also, big shout out to Peter from the Thor monster truck for giving me some advice too, especially about the wheels and stuff. Enough waffle, let's get wrenching. So I've just joined two clamps together just to make the whole thing a little bit more secure. We're holding on to this thing for dear life. We don't want it moving about. So there we go, got this piece all welded up so we can bolt this now onto the roll cage. So here we got the rear steer switch, so that slots into there. I think it just wedges in, I think. And then you've got your rear steer like that. And then we got this other switch that we have to put into here. And this one is so you can turn off the self-center. With it one way, the steering will automatically self-center. When you flick it the other way, it will stay wherever you leave the steering. We're still going to get all this lot powder coated, but for now, we just want to assemble it all, make sure that everything works. Then we'll take everything off, get it all powder coated, and then put it all back together again. That is solid. That is not going anywhere. Next, we've got to mount the shifter. So we've just tacked it on for now. We're going to put it on first, see how it all fits, and then later on when we're happy, then we're going to weld it up fully. So now we've got to get this shifter in position, and we've got to get it in just the right place. So I've taken the shifter back out again. We've got it all tacked up for now. We're not going to fully weld it just yet, just in case we've got to move it. On the monster truck, you have to wire it up that you can only start it when you're in neutral or in park. So we've got this little sensor here that we've got to fit in there. There's a little ball valve on there, look. and these little rollers on there just sort of push onto it, and that will just break the circuit to the starter motor so that it don't start, I think. I don't know, probably got it wrong. So next we got this cable here that comes out of the shifter, and we got to mount it here onto the transmission. So we got this little bracket there that bolts on there, then we got this little bracket there that bolts that on. We got to change this thing, whatever it's called, and put that onto there, and make sure that it works, make sure we can get all the gears and everything. And then we're going to take it back off again so we can fit it, because otherwise we'd have to do all this when it's inside the truck, and it's easier to do it in there. Blah, blah, blah. A lot of you guys said in the comments that we have to put oil in there. I do know that. I've just read the instructions before we put it in, and we do know we have to put oil in there before we fit it. But thank you everybody for pointing that out, because it would have completely destroyed it if we would have fitted it dry. So it comes with a longer screw, a spring washer, and we just bolt it back on. Oh, look at this, guys. I found an RC car part. So now we've got to set this up. I'm not really fully sure how. I think this is park. So I think we got, that's first, second, neutral, reverse, park. So then if we put this into park, which I think is, so then we put that on there, and then that on there to hold the cable. So now, I watched this on Tony's Swamp Things channel, so I learned something. You adjust that until it falls in there easily. RC body clip in, lock that up, but we're going to take it off again, so we're not going to bother just yet. Now, hopefully, our gears are going to work. Oh yes, look at that. So now we can take all this lot here off again, because we've got to have it off when we fit this into the truck, but we can't fit it yet because we're still waiting on bolts. So these bolts here, they're only temporary. I've still got all of some proper ones. But anyway, here you can see the ball switch. So we're in neutral, and it's pushing that down so that breaks the circuit, or makes a circuit, so that you can start the engine. And then you put this over into park, which is all the way over here, and then it clips into the second one, look. So in both of those two positions, you can start the engine, but when it's not in those positions, then you can't start the engine. Health and safety. Got the shifter in. Next, we've got to finish off mounting off this steering column. We've got to make a little bracket that bolts on in here. We're going to put a bolt through here to stop it from distorting. I've also bolted these two together. We've ground a little flat on here, just so that it sits on that tube nicely. We've got a little bit more stuff to weld to. Man, I love TIG welding. There's no sparks, there's no spatter. You can make it all nice and flush. There we go, we actually made two of them. If you know why, let me know in the comments. So next, I'm going to mount these switches here. So we got engine start, we got ignition, we got fuel pumps, even though we've got mechanical pumps, I don't think we need them. Cooling, lamps, so we can have headlights on there, I guess. So I've been looking at loads of pictures all over the internet, and I think I'm going to do it a little bit like this gravedigger here. So I made this piece of angle to put onto the box here, and then we can weld it onto those clamps there. So I want to put the gauges up on top here. Here we've got all these little pod things that hold these gauges into place, and we can get 4 of them along here. Next, we need some nuts and bolts, and I ordered them on eBay. Oh, we have posts. We have nuts and boltage. We got one more, and this one's a big one. So next we've got to figure out where to mount it. I'm thinking probably there, I'm guessing. Basically, you want it somewhere where you're not going to block any vision anywhere. We want to be able to see out through the floor and out the window. So I think my eye level's about here. Oh, check it out, guys. We got all the wheels just turned up. So they cut this flange off there and moved it out to there. So now hopefully it's going to fit over the hub. Also, they've added this speed stiffener here, because when we do big jumps, this rubber can actually compress all the way up to the rim and bend it. So now hopefully it won't. And check out the quality quality to paintwork they did in there. It looks absolutely epic. So massive thanks to John and crew at Farmer's Tyre that done the work and got them back to me. So now we can get the hub, put it back on, and then we can see if the wheels actually fit. Yes! That's a lot easier with 2 people.
Oh, straddle it.
And I want to say a big shout out to Ian and Claire from Claire's RC for helping film and put the monster truck together. So we've got this nice little socket that Tony from Swamp Thing 4x4 made. So shout out to Tony. Oh, look at that.
Oh, it does stink.
You mad?
Come on.
If you go home, you'll still be doing this.
Yeah. No, you'd give up. Wait for you to come back.
Here we go. First time trying the jack out.
Oh, what time?
Oh. Very bigger shot.
Can't see it behind it. Look, it looks like it's doing it on its own.
Yeah. Look at the state of that, guys. That thing is massive. No idea we can fit it in here once we get the other side on as well. Oh, guys, just look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Look at that in there, guys. That hub is fitting inside that wheel perfectly now. So now we've got to take all the wheels back off again, get it all in again, and the next time we're going to put the big tyres on is, I suppose, when it's finished.
It's definitely a trick by idea.
You ain't gonna get on top like that. Oh, you've done it! You don't want to go?
You do, really?
So next I've got to make a bigger brake pedal. When we're bouncing around in here, it's easy to miss the pedal, so I'm going to put that on there. So next, we've got to figure out how to plumb it up. So I've got all these fittings here, all these AN fittings. And I've got to figure out which fitting goes onto which component. And here we've got some smaller ones. And then these can go on here on the oil coolers for the transmission. A bigger one here, number 12. For the cooling. I've got to take all these off again to actually make the lines later on, but for now I'm just going to put all the fittings on everywhere so I know what we've got, so I know what we need, and then we can take them off again and make up all the lines. I've got to figure out what all these threads are in here for the water pump. No idea what that is, probably BSP, I don't know. And then I've got to figure out somehow where it all goes. So looking at pictures, I think it comes out of here and then goes into the bottom of the water pump, and then out of here I think we need a T piece or a Y piece. And then it goes somewhere, and I don't know where. So I've just made up my first hose here for the oil coolers for the transmission. So next, I'm gonna have a go at making up a water hose to go from the radiator to the water pump. So we've got to wind that all the way on there until you can see that rubber hose meet that shoulder. It's tight, but it's getting there. There we go, just like that. And I've got these special jaws for the vise so I can hold the hose and the fittings. And I've got all these special spanners here so that you don't scratch the fittings. Next, we've got to put a little bit of lube on here to help it go on. Now, you can get proper lube apparently, but I haven't got any. And apparently WD-40 does the same, or 3-in-1 oil. We're going to put a little bit of tape on here because we want to make sure when we wind that other fitting in there that it doesn't all come off. And you can see it here. If it does come off, we'll see. There we go, it hasn't moved. Then just so that we know where to cut the hose, I'm just going to put a little bit of tape on there just to mark it, then we know that that is where we cut it. Now to cut the hose, I'm going to use these cutters here. I know a lot of people are using an angle grinder, but the trouble is with that, you can end up getting a load of dust inside the line. And you can blow it out, but I just like the idea of that. Beautiful. Lovely jubbly. Beautiful. Boom. So I've just folded up this piece of metal here, a couple of notches in there, a few holes on there. So next we can bolt that on top of here like this, and then we can weld a couple of things on there. Taco can go on there. This is the RII. When you get into trouble, then they can shut you down. Beautiful. So I want to mount it here somewhere. So I've got a couple of clamps like that. We're going to fit one on there. One's already on there. Yeah, I think something like that's going to be pretty good. What are you filming?
I just got a bit of that chin hair.
What's he laughing at?
I'm laughing at that chin hair, man.
Get him in there like that. Got wiring there ready for Tony. Oh, look at all this lot, guys. Got more wires here. Tony, if you're watching, please wire it up for me. I don't have a clue of any of this. Go on there, Steve.
Straight in, mate.
Straight in, boy. Look at that, guys. That is our view. We've got the rear steer, we've got our clocks, we've got the steering, we've got all this malarkey. Are you impressed?
Very impressed. Tell me what all this does.
That is the cut off. So your left-hand lane, right-hand lane. No idea what that one is.
Yeah.
And then if you get in trouble, then someone remotely can shut your engine off. So here we got the fuel pickups, but on this tank, we actually want to have a fitting underneath. So we've got to drill a hole and then we can come in. All this junk.
Ah, it's my day off.
So that is where we got to drill it, but there's foam in there, so somehow we got to get all that out of there. That's all got to come out of here. I'll stamp hold that. Stamp laughing at.
There's a comment I wanted to say, but I think it's probably a bit not really advisable, is it?
We can beep it out.
Kev's glory hole.
Right, that's one. He's given birth.
What is it for, Kev, all that?
Prevents slosh. No, go for one, Steph.
No.
Oh yeah, look at this, man.
What? Oh, what?
That's the old pickup.
That's the old clunk.
Oh, should we get him out of there and see what? Oh, there we are. What is it on there? Oh yeah, we can see now. That's a good idea, Steph. Not that. Not that. Not that.
What?
Not that. Hold on, there we go.
There you are. You're well chuffed when you talk to me about these spanners. I knew you wouldn't end up using them. Yeah, that looks like something else now.
What does it look like?
I don't know. Huh? It don't look good, does it?
Have a go, it's fun. And next, we've got this handy little hole saw set. We've got to make a hole in our tank and then shove that in the hole. Hopefully, we get it right first time. Nice little deburring tool. Give it a bit of zoom.
Go too tight. It's only alley threads, isn't it?
A bit surprised how much they take.
Really?
Alright, I think we're good. So next, we now have to cut this. Slug in the house, isn't it?
Yeah, you're slugging it today.
Look at that, that's bang on. In case you're wondering, this piece here is in case something comes up underneath the truck, wants to puncture the tank, you have a little bit of protection. Next, We got to get the back in there and get all that stuff out. Where's the Milwaukee gone?
Well, you said they're no good.
It's a bit asthmatic.
Yeah, exactly. What?
This is a letdown to Milwaukee. This is a complete letdown. Guys, don't buy this. This thing is not very good.
What's it like on these bits here?
Good.
That's going to be a struggle, isn't it? Oh, it is a struggle, man.
Oh!
Oh. How much is that thing, man? You must have bought it bloody Henry.
Well, I was going to say it sucks, but it doesn't even do that.
No, that's it, man.
Next, we've got to put all the foam back in. Beautiful. So here I've just made another bracket to hold the battery kill switch and the fuel pump cut-off cable. And we're going to mount it just there. Boom! So the reason for this little cutout here is that when we're sitting in here, we don't want anything obstructing the wheel wells. We want to be able to see where we're going. So that cable goes all the way from that T-switch over there. And it goes down, along here, along there, along there, along there, all along there. And then it goes on here, on the fuel pump. And then we've got this little collar thing here. And that screws on the end of the cable. Next, we can hook up the throttle cable. So this little bracket thing holds the throttle cable to the pedal. So we're attached on there, got a little holder thing on there, and I have no idea what this little piece in here is for. If you guys know, let me know. There's another one up here with a split pin in, and I think you can have the throttle cable either at the bottom or you can have it at the top. I've gone for the bottom to keep it all down nice and low. And then we're going to go the same route with this cable. We're going to go along here and just follow it along next to the other cable. Same again, it clips onto this little mount thing here. Shut the catch. This one has a little paper clip that goes through there, so I suppose if that comes off, it's going to be bad. Then this little ball socket thing goes on here. And the trouble is, it's miles away from there. It's not going to reach. So I think maybe the cable's got to be on the upper position. That would bolt on there, meaning it's closer to there, which would give us more cable on the other end. Boom! There we go, fitted it on there. Now hopefully it's gonna fit, and I'll just bang my head on that thing. Oh, that looks better. Look at that. I think it's better anyway. Now that bit goes onto that bit, and boom, we're on. Yes! So I've just had some more fittings turned up. So this is an adapter, so I can screw that into the water pump and then go over to these AN fittings. And I've also got this nice little white piece here. So we've got to get that into there, then that into the end of that, and then we've got to take a couple of hoses and then go into the engine. And that's all for the water cooling. So we've got this gasket stuff here. And I'm just going to paint a little bit of it just around the end of these fittings, and I'm making a right mess of it. So we give it a couple of minutes just to go off a little bit, and then we can put it together. Little bit of Loctite. So next I've got to make a hose to go from there onto there and from there onto that one over there. I'm not going to bother filming it because I've already filmed making a couple of hoses and it's exactly the same. I'll just put you back on when the hoses are ready to go on. So there we go, we've got one hose made, and that one is going to go from there. Let me put an alternator in the way. And then the other end onto here. So you've got radiator, into water pump, into the bottom there, into this piece, and into that, and then into the block. Boom! And here we have our next hose that goes in here. And then we go around here, and he goes on there. And then this end goes on our little wide piece here. Boom! So next we're going to make up some brake hoses. Boom! So next, we've got to bolt it onto the caliper. We've got the union just there, look. Then we're going to go along this 4-link bar, along the chassis, and then up to the brake pedal. So there we go, it goes all the way along there, along the top 4-link bar, along the chassis, and then I've just put the front one in as well. and then both the cables here are running along the chassis rail here, up there, round there, and then it's coming out here. I just need to get myself a little union to put into the back of the master cylinder, then we can fit them on and then bleed it and then get it working. Next, I've got to do a little bit of work on the seats. So these shoulder pads here, they're too far apart. Hold on, let me get in and I will show you. Look at that, it's got so much gap there in between the shoulders. My head's going to be held in there with a helmet, and then if you have a dirty side landing, these shoulder pads are not going to hold me in. So I think I'm going to put a cut across the back here, bend it in a little bit, re-weld it, and modify this lot, and then bolt it all back together. So first of all, I'm going to take them off to put the cut in there, and then we'll get them back on there, and then we'll push it in. I'm going to take them off a camera because only 4 screws, and I can't film and do it at the same time. So, got them both off. This is where I want to cut it, just through here. Hopefully I can leave that then, just give it a little bend. If it does fracture, we'll just get another little weld through there. Obviously here, it's going to open up and get wider. So I've got this tube here. Hopefully I can cut this into shape and weld it on and it will all be good. I wanted to use my hacksaw, but I can't find it. No idea where it's gone. Been missing for bleeding months. So I may as well just buy a new one. It was hanging there at one point, but it's not there anymore. But no big deal, we have this. So now let's bolt them back on and see how it looks. So there we go, we got one of them back on. It's better, but it still needs a little bit more. So we got it back in the vise. I haven't got the energy to bend it, so we've got Muscle Man in the house. I've done it that far and I can't do it anymore. I haven't got the muscle. Oh, that moved a lot. Right, so here's our very professional jig. A little bit more and we'll be good. Boom. Vinny's the man. It's only temporary, guys. We're going to get a new seat. But now, this will do. Oh, boom!
I don't think you can get much closer than that, either.
Thank you. It's better, huh? Still steer. Now, if we have a dirty side landing, it's my shoulders holding me in and not my head. So I've just cleaned it up. I've made these little brackets here that can go over the top here, on there. And all we got to do now is weld them on. Now, welding aluminium is very finicky. If there's any dirt or any contaminants on the metal, it's not going to want to weld. So I sanded it all down. Then I went over it all with a die grinder to try and get all the sandpaper out of it. Then I wiped it down with rubbing alcohol. So hopefully it's going to be clean enough and it's going to weld. There we go, not perfect, but it will have to do. So next, I'm not going to bother bolting them back on because we've got to take this seat out again. And we've got to finish off welding up this frame, and then we've got to send it off and get it powder coated. So I've just had my little brake fittings turn up, and these go into the back of the cylinder, and then we can attach the brake hoses. There we go, there's 2 of them. Now we get the hose and attach it. Also, just bolted on the starter motor. I didn't film it, but there's only 2 bolts under there to hold it on. So that engages there to the flywheel, or flex plate, as you lot keep telling me what it's really called. Take all these brackets off the dash again so we can get them powder coated. These brackets there need powder coating, and the tank straps, but I'm not going to bother filming taking all that lot off because there's already videos on this channel of me putting all that stuff on. So I'll just show you when it all comes back from the powder coating. So here we got all the parts that we need to send off to get powder coated. It seems like a lot more now. When it was on the truck, it didn't really seem like that much. So we just got to finish off a few welds on these pieces and then we can ship them off. So my parts are now ready to pick up from the powder coaters, but we're going to leave it here now. This video's been long enough. You guys are itching to see another monster truck video. You keep begging me in the comments, so I'm going to upload this one as it is. Next monster truck video, we got all the parts turning up. We're going to get that gearbox in, we're going to get that engine fired up, we're going to get the big wheels on it, and we're going to get this thing driving under its own power. We've got a show booked in August of 21st, 22nd, something like that, the UK Monster Truck Nationals. So make sure you go onto the UK Monster Truck Nationals website and book yourself a ticket, because I'm going to be there regardless if we get this thing going or not. And don't be shy, come over and say hello.